Welcome to the Confessions of a Group X Instructor podcast. For group exercise junkies and enthusiastic classgoers, we'll explore and uncover authentic, thought-provoking, and heartwarming industry education and inspiration from entertaining, badass fitness pros. And now your host, creator of Warrior Rhythm, Warrior Strength, Warrior Combat, Warrior Revolution, and Warrior Kids Group fitness brands, Ellen DeWord. Here we grow.
Welcome, everybody. It's a new week. How are you all doing? I am podcasting from my kitchen today because I am the boss of this podcast. And if I'm too tired to go up the stairs, I'm too tired to go up the stairs. I don't want to do it right now. I just want to sit right here, right next to my David Koenig print. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see it. Otherwise, it is a really cool print that I love. If you are into tattoo culture or you are a tattoo-y person, you might know that a lot of tattoo artists sell their prints. And I love that. Like if you like, you know how like you might like a bunch of different tattoo artists, but you're like, oh, I got to pick one or whatever. I don't know. Maybe you're a collector, maybe you have lots, but this is such a tangent and I haven't even gotten started yet. Cul-de-sac. It's a cul-de-sac moment. I will come back to the main road, but I only have one tattoo artist that did all my work, but there's so many other tattoo artists that I love. It's kind of like, I wish I had like 10 lives because I want so many different dog breeds. I want to own so many different dogs and cats that I wish I had multiple lives to do it in. So the thing is these tattoo artists, they often sell their prints. And so it's a cool way that you can like support an artist and love an artist's work and incorporate an artist's work into your life and into your home without getting a tattoo by them. So that's an artist that I really like. Like if I had 10 lives, I would have so many different dogs, so many different cats, and so many different tattoo designs. Okay, back to the main road here. I am coming to you from my kitchen because I can do what I want. And I don't want to go up the stairs right now. I want to sit here and talk to you about how I organize my busy life. Now, I'm not suggesting that you should organize your busy life the way I organize my busy life. In fact, I'd love to hear how you do it, but I think there's a million different ways to skin the cat of organization and many different approaches and tools and apps and stuff. But I'm going to share with you my process because it's one of the things that I hear most from people about myself. Like sometimes they're being super complimentary and nice. And sometimes I think they're giving me a backhanded compliment. But basically I hear things very regularly like, how do you do it all? Are you Superwoman? Aren't you exhausted? Do you have any time, like balance in your life? And stuff like that. Little glitch, little Wi-Fi glitch. It's storming here. It's storming. Bear with me. Okay. So yeah, people often comment like, are you losing your mind? Are you exhausted? How do you do it all? All that stuff. So anyway, let's dive in. I think it's an important topic because it really boils down to efficiency, how we budget our time. Like basically directly relates to like how much, I was just talking kind of hypothetically about living 10 lives, but if we have one life, how you budget your time, how efficient you are with your time directly correlates to how much you are going to like suck the marrow out of the bones of this one life you have. If you're being cavalier or flippant or wasteful and squandering your time and your energy, then we don't get as much out of this life. That's kind of on the, macro. On the micro, out of your business or out of whatever. So again, I'm not saying you do it my way. There's lots of different ways to do it, but I just was going to share with you sort of how I keep a million balls in the air and really don't drop any of them. So time management and the definition of, you know, efficient is achieving maximum productivity with minimum wasted effort or expense. Can I please read that again? Achieving maximum productivity with minimum wasted effort or expense. Getting the most without wasting your life is how I would paraphrase that. It's super similar to like budgeting money. And, you know, when you budget money, you have more money. Like when you budget it, you have more because you're not wasting it and you're not impulsively this or impulsively that. So I guess, I was gonna start with kind of like, if I book a flight, with an analogy, if I book a flight somewhere, when it's kind of time to get ready to figure out when do I need to go to the airport, you kind of do this backtrack thing where you're like, when does the flight leave? When does it board? How long to get to the airport? Let's give us some wiggle room in there. How long do I need to pack? If you aren't already pre-packed, when do I need to set my alarm? So, it's this idea of like backtracking. And budgeting time, scheduling is very much like a big effort of backtracking your flight with your life. And in this episode, as it pertains to business, I mean, you could extrapolate from the things I'm going to tell you, the pieces that would apply to, budgeting your family time and all of that stuff and your work-life balance. But I'm specifically going to talk about, like, as a businesswoman, how I managed to do so many things and keep so many plates spinning without having them, crash and fall. Not that I'm a perfect person or leader or that I don't ever make mistakes in this regard, but it's something that I'm pretty good at, is time management and being productive, efficient, and effective with my schedule, and while doing so many things. First of all, I want to say if there's a capacity issue, and as I've gotten older, my capacity to do more has increased. And I'll even bring it to, because I know that this audience is primarily group fitness instructors. I remember as a newer instructor when I was first like teaching and like, let's see, started with like step aerobics and body pump. And just, I remember like feeling like, I remember when like two formats felt like almost impossible, like taking on another format. And then getting into cycling, taking on another format, like I remember when it just seemed so overwhelming and daunting. And now today I am teaching, I'm scheduled right now teaching warrior rhythm, warrior strength, warrior combat, warrior revolution, and I just added roots, which we launch next month. By the time you hear this episode, let me think about this carefully. Yes, by the time you hear this episode, we will have launched roots. So yeah, I'm teaching 5 different formats. And so like, even with adding a class, like capacity, my point is our capacity to handle more and our brain power does grow as we, I think, age. And yeah, I think a lot of it is age and experience related. So, but I'm not talking about our schedule. I'm not specifically talking about adding formats at this point, because that's actually going to be another episode all in of itself, is how should you teach multiple formats and how many? So put a pin in that. We're coming back to that on another show. Okay. So back to the flight analogy and like taking a flight and then backtracking. Of course, I set my goals. I literally write them all down, not in like a New Year's resolution-y way, but in a real tangible, like what are my business goals for the year, for the upcoming year? And I do that well in advance of the upcoming year. And I do want to take a little tiny pause to recommend the book, The 12-Week Year. The 12-Week Year by Brian P. Moran and Michael Lennington. It's an outstanding book that does help you achieve your annual goals, but it breaks them into weeks, 12 weeks. So it's like, that's why it's called the 12-week year, because it really breaks them down into quarters. And that book was very helpful to me when I read it a few years ago. Also, Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. I can just summarize it right here for you and save you the expense of buying and reading the book. Because Eat That Frog means do the hard stuff first. Like, get your stuff done, get your hard shit done early in the day. The stuff that you dread doing, or the hard stuff, like, develop a desire in yourself to conquer those things first. It's, you know, it's almost like the opposite of the snowball debt, where you like pay off the little stuff first. It's like the opposite of that. Like, in your day to day, like the dread stuff, the hard stuff, suck stuff, like tackle that first. So it's not like hanging over your head. Anyway, I was just going to plug those two books because I think they've been influential in my life as I've gone about, learning to lead a crazy hair on fire life. So one, I have my goals, and I have to kind of backfill like how and in what rate I want to tackle them, what the process is, and what the timeline is going to be for that. And then backfill from there. So I use a few different things so that I never forget anything important. One, I use Google Calendar like a maniac. My Google Calendar might make your eyes spin. It might make you throw up a little bit if you would see my Google Calendar, because basically every single cell is full every single day, all day. My Google Calendar. I love using my Google Calendar. I put everything I want to do, like everything as it comes up, I put on my Google Calendar. Everything, even if it's a potential meeting, a potential podcast interview with somebody, anything, even if it's not in stone, even if it's something I want to do, like girls' night out Friday night, like anything, everything goes on my Google Calendar. So one of the things this does for me as being visual is I look at it all day, but I also make sure that I check it before, like the night before. I do a review. I think this is very important, you guys, to do a review the night before of what you have the next day. Glance at the whole week, but know what you're doing the next day. I also color code, because Google Calendar lets you color code things. So anything that is extremely important goes in red. So it stands out to my eyeball, like red alert. This is, you have like 2 red cells tomorrow. You have 2 things that you've deemed extremely important tomorrow. So red means highest priority, non-negotiable. I have all my classes in there color coded I have them color coded. My classes are in there and they're color coded. Those are not red alert items, even though I have to be there at a certain time. Those are part of my routine. Those never come up and surprise me, but they're on there and they're color coded. So I have my classes. I've got my red alert stuff. I also have, because of the nature of my business and all the formats and all that goes into it, I have a pretty intense marketing plan for across the brands. Like maybe I'm marketing this campaign for this format, or this product launch for merchandise, or it's pouring down rain and I love that sound. So anything marketing related goes in yellow. That's not important, other than my mind knows that and there's almost something in yellow every single day that I'm wanting to push out through marketing, whether that's Facebook, LinkedIn, Facebook groups, Instagram, MailChimp, like you name it, or a combination thereof. It's all indicated in yellow what I need to market. And when that marketing calendar is really important for my business goals. having a marketing plan, not just leaving it to chance or leaving it random or leaving it to my memory to remember that, oh, I should be talking about this on social media today. No, I don't leave it up to my memory. I don't trust my brain like that. I do not trust my brain like that. So I plot it all out in advance. So anyway, then there's other stuff in the Google Calendar too with other colors. But what I will do is that functions as basically my daily to-do list. That Google Calendar is and I know there's other apps and you might have a better way, and teach me. I would love to hear your better way. This is just what works so well for me. Like I know there's reminder apps and to-do list apps and all these things, but this is just what works to me, the Google Calendar. And I really like it because of the color coding. I really like it because when I have an event, like let's say I have a important business meeting with IDEA, and I have a Zoom that I'm doing with them at 2:00 my time zone, and it's on the calendar in red. Well, I get an email like 30 minutes before the calendar. So I will get an email notification, which by the way, pings my phone. So I'll get, not that I will forget because I've already reviewed the night before and it's sitting there in bright red, but I also get an email, and that email will ping my phone. So I get a notification flashing across my phone. And you know how we are. I've got my phone in my hand all the time. So I'm not going to miss it. I am not going to miss it. If it's super important, like I don't know, I'll set a phone alarm too. If I'm actually afraid I might miss something, I'll set a phone alarm too. But then the other stuff on my calendar that's functioning like my to-do list, I often have items, like I said, every cell is full of things that like could wait. I could do them later that day. I could do them the next day or the day after. So like, for example, this weekend, we are filming Warrior Combat Lesson 8, and I have out of town company coming. And I know it's a little vain, but I like to wash my car and vacuum it out before out of town people come and get in my car. And so like, that's an example of something that is not do or die. My life doesn't depend on it. It doesn't have to happen at 2:00 on, Tuesday. It could happen at 4:00, or it could happen the next day, or I could just not get to it. It wouldn't be the end of the world. But for something like that, I like Google Calendar because you can click on the little cell and drag it to another time. You can drag it to the next day. So I end up ready. I end up never getting every single thing done on my daily Google Calendar. I don't feel bad about it. That's fine. That's like my best case scenario, biggest, hugest to-do list. And, I don't get to everything. So I always get to the red stuff. I also do like the second, like if it's not red, but it's close to red, I do it in orange. So I usually always get to my red and my orange and my yellow, because that's marketing and I teach my class and all that other to-do-ish stuff. If I get to it, beautiful. If I don't, I drag it to the next day. And then the night before I review and I see it that I still need to get it done on the next day. So in addition to the Google Calendar, I also have a paper calendar. I know, type A, OCD, overkill. I know it's a lot of calendars for one girl, but I need it. The other calendar is a little bit different, and yet they work together synergistically. And oh my gosh, I'm such an instructor. I just said synergistically. You know what I mean. So anyway, this paper calendar I make on Canva. And it's nothing fancy. You just type into Canva, calendar 2025 or whatever. And then you pick which style you like. And I like the ones that have a little room for notes at the bottom. And anyway, I use my paper calendar for my business marketing plan. I've already talked about marketing being in my yellow cells, but this is like every master trainer certification, everything related to my business. not going to Portland to have a Toya base, cut my hair, not go to the car wash and get your car washed. This is everything related to my business. Heavy on the events, heavy on the master trainer events, the filming production schedule, the conference schedule. It's heavy on the events. This particular paper calendar, when I need to cast, when I need to create content, when I need to rehearse with the talent team, for example, everything like that goes on the paper calendar, because that's my marketing calendar. That's my blueprint for success, really, with my business. And so those items do end up on my Google Calendar. I know that's a lot of overkill, but I also don't drop the spinning plates on the ground because of like, hey, I might need a couple calendars. I'm not done yet. I have more than a paper calendar. There's more. Okay. I also use scrap paper. Please tell me someone out there listening uses scrap paper. It's an important part of my process. Don't judge me. It's an important part of me not dropping a ball ever. I shouldn't say it like that, because the day I say it like that, I'm going to drop a ball tomorrow. But it's really an important part of me keeping it all together and being efficient and effective. So I'm not wasting my time and wasting my life, but I'm getting the important stuff done. That, ironically, it frees me up. Ironically, it's why I'm not crazy. I mean, I'm borderline crazy, but it's what really keeps the crazy at bay. So the scrap of paper, it's super, super psychologically and intrinsically important to me. It's like scratching a deep, 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 insatiable itch to cross something off of a list. I don't want to just see it disappear in my Google Calendar cell, because I want to cross it off with indelible ink. I want to vigorously cross it off. I don't even want to put a check mark by it. I want to scribble. I want to draw multiple black lines. It feels so good. It fuels me. It motivates me. I love that feeling. That's dopamine. And I want to cross stuff off my list. I like feeling productive. It feels so good to me. And it's important to me. So I take my Google Calendar list, which of course has absorbed all the important marketing information for my business on that too. And when I review the night before for the next day, I make a list on a piece of scrap paper. That helps me. I see that list every day, and I just want to cross off as many things on there as I possibly can. And I put them in order, and I put big stars next to the ones that are non-negotiables, or I number them like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are the 5 things that you don't get to go to bed at night until they're done. So that scrap paper, I'm telling you, then I'm not even done. I'm not crazy about this kind of thing. I also sometimes text myself, just ask my friends. This is so weird. It might seem like very weird to you, but you know how with an iPhone you can pin your favorites? And I'm not saying I'm a narcissist, but I am one of my favorites is pinned, because I actually do text myself little notes throughout the day, little thoughts, inspiration. Maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's a song I heard. There's so much I text myself. It's embarrassing. I wish I could show you screenshots of my text message thread, because I text messaged myself 3 times today. Just little stuff I was thinking about, because I'm doing a special event class tomorrow. And by the way, just to give you tomorrow a sense of the timing of this recording, tomorrow's Halloween, and I'm doing a special event. And so I was thinking about some things, and I didn't want to forget, and I didn't have my scrap piece of paper, and I just will sometimes text myself, and then it's like an unread text, and that's helpful for my brain. And I'll also sometimes email myself, just a thought, something I don't want to lose, just a thought I don't want to lose. Text myself, email myself. Okay, so let me just let me go back to that. Let me wrap that up. I have a Google Calendar. That's the mecca, the hub. That's sort of the nexus or the genesis of everything. It's color coded. I can drag things from day to day. It also emails me 30 minutes prior to, so it's sending notifications to my phone. I have a marketing calendar. I mean, if you are listening to this, like we are in sales. I've said that before on this show. If you're a group fitness instructor, but weirdly, we are in sales, even though we don't charge for, most of us don't charge for classes. Most people, it's considered complimentary in their membership. It's still sales. We want feet and we want butts in seats. Like we want our class attendance. We want people to come. We want to change lives, like all the millions of reasons. But we want people coming to our class. We're in sales. So you should be thinking about marketing, even if it just means you're posting on like posting, on social. So the marketing calendar through Canva that's on paper. I like to see it like that. The scrap paper, texting and emailing myself. So that's my process. Take it or leave it. If any of that is helpful to you, I hope some of it is. Again, there's so many different approaches to organization. This is just what works for me. And even though it might seem multi-layered, I think having a few layers, like the paper calendar, the digital calendar, and the scrap paper and the texting of myself, I think those multiple layers are kind of like, I'm not going to forget something. It's because I'm seeing it in different ways. So I hope that's helpful. And I mean, if you find that you don't have enough time in your life to do the things that you want to do, those are my tips for you. Also, those books are excellent. There's more I'm happy to recommend. I actually kind of want to do a whole my favorite books podcast, but 12-Week Year is really good. I don't think you need to read Eat That Frog. I just think you need to do the hard shit first. Get the idea is like that eating a frog would be yucky, like get it over with. Get the yucky, get the hard, get the thing that like maybe you're dreading. Maybe it's a phone call. Maybe it's writing an article. Like, I don't know what it is in your life, but get that done first. Maybe it's working out. Like, maybe it's meal prep. I don't know, but get that done. Get the hard stuff done first. Get it done, cross it off, feel good about it. And I guess it's time for my confession. My confession is that I actually really hate it when people say, I don't have time or I didn't have time. I like inwardly cringe when people say that because like we all have 24 hours. No one's actually busier than anyone else. Like when people look at me and say, oh, you're so busy. Aren't you too busy? Aren't you tired? Or wow, are you Superwoman? Whether they say it in a nice way or a mean way to me, people will remark about how busy. I am not busier. Like we all have the identical exact amount of time to get good sleep, to be productive, to have balance, family time, whatever that means for your personal recharge stuff. We all have the exact amount of time. No one's busier than someone else. People are more productive. People are more efficient, and people prioritize things differently. So I would much rather someone say to me, rather than I didn't have time, like it wasn't a priority. That's actually what that means. I don't have time. I didn't have time means it wasn't important enough to me to make it a priority. So that's my confession that is my pet peeve. And, we're all the same amount of busy. Like I'm equally as busy that someone that takes naps all day long and watches TV and things that I would consider like a waste of my life or a waste of time. Not that taking a nap is a waste of time. I don't mean that, but we're the same amount of busy. It's just priorities. It's just what's important, what is important for you to pack into your day and what's not. And do you have the discipline to execute? Discipline and priority. That's what your calendar says about you. So anyway, I really do hope that's helpful. And I also really would love to hear your tips and tricks. I'm sure there's some like amazing ways that you organize your life. And I'd love to hear from you. So Happy episode 51, people. Thank you so much for being here. Please share the episode if you think of someone that it might be beneficial for. And I'll catch you next week. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for joining in on the Confessions of a Group X Instructor podcast. If you're interested in becoming a warrior instructor, go to warriorinstructors.com. But if you want more and found this episode amazing, please give us a rating. And with a simple click to subscribe, we'll invite you back to our next episode. So remember, be brave, be bold, be blessed. And above all, listen, learn, love.